China, Baigong Basin. Here is the area we will focus on. But to understand why this area is called the basin, let's go to the Google Earth map. The whole of Central Asia is geologically very interesting. Mountain ranges border this area to the north, west, and south, where the peaks of the Himalayas are located. In this area, you will find mainly China, Tibet, Mongolia in the north, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan in the west, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India in the southwest and south. And in this lowland area is the Taklamakan Desert, whose incredible details we have already seen in an older video. If you look closely at a map of mountain ranges and basins, you might notice something unusual. Remember the fossilized ocean waves in the Andes? Let's take a look at that again. This is one of the many fossilized waves that carried the debris of the old world. You find many of them in the Andes. And the debris on the Nazca Plain, because it is the debris of part of the global lattice structure, lies beneath these waves. Now you may think I'm talking nonsense, but the essence of our world is energy vibrations. The lower the vibrations, the more matter is created. What would our world look like if someone overclocked these vibrations? Like your PC, for example? It would be more efficient, or slower. And what's even more interesting is that we also find these stone waves in places like the drying Aral Sea in Kazakhstan, and we're back in our neighborhood of the Baigong Basin in China. But to understand the full extent of this monstrous disaster, we need to look at other facts that mainstream science distorts. One of them is, why are some mountain ranges so high and very steep? It's as if the Earth is twitching on itself, but how could that be possible? The entire disaster is likely due to a sudden shift in the Earth's magnetic field. You're looking at mountain peaks that were once a gigantic tsunami. How is it possible that they have this shape? We can only speculate whether the Earth's gravity weakened during the magnetic field jump. That would explain why these formerly water walls reach so high into the sky.
The principle of everything is water. Everything is from the water and returns to the water.
Yes, ancient philosophers already knew about the nature of our world. But where did our knowledge go? Before we return to China, let's look again at the phenomenon that proves the origin of the world's mountain ranges: water. Water is an everyday necessity that we no longer think about. We know the 3 states of water, but did you know that there is a 4th state? Water has been found in super small hexagonal channels in the mineral beryl, which forms the basis for the gemstones aquamarine and emerald. The channels measure only about 5 atoms across and act essentially like cages, each of which can trap a single water molecule. This is called quantum tunneling of water. Water as a part of rock. In pure water exposed to sunlight, simple DNA begins to form spontaneously. This is also information that was not allowed to be made public, perhaps because life on Earth would not have arisen without the sun. This discovery was even supposed to be patented, but was kept secret. The human body is about 60% water. We cannot exist without water. Everything in nature, animals, plants, and as we have seen, even rocks contain water. And that is another stepping stone to what is found in rock: fossils. On beaches, on land, in deserts, and even high in the mountains, we can find fossilized flora and fauna, but there is a big difference between them. What does mainstream science tell us about these fossils? You might be wondering. I remind you that we are repeating all this here in order to understand the geological anomalies in Baigong and the surrounding area. So what does mainstream science teach us about the origin of fossils? Fossils are created by the long-term action of mineralized water on an animal organism, which fills it with minerals and transforms the organism into stone. Oops, really? But something doesn't add up. What about stalactites? If they occur in a humid environment, they can grow to a length of 20 centimeters or more within 80 years. The oldest and largest ones can boast an age of several 100,000 years. On average, stalactites grow by about 1 cubic millimeter every 15 years. When a fish dies, its body decomposes within a few days to weeks, depending on the ambient temperature. The same goes for larger animals and humans. A human body decomposes in about 10 years, depending on the ambient conditions. This process is called decomposition. An organic body will decompose even without access to air. This means that all soft tissues will liquefy and disappear into the surrounding environment. All this happens in a relatively short time. A slightly different situation occurs when exposed to frost or drowning in a peat bog. Even in this situation, all soft tissues are dried and preserved, including hair and skin. So how is it possible that marine animals preserved their bodies and became fossils? Simply put, it's not possible. Imagine an animal that does not decompose for thousands of years after its death, and its body is very, very slowly filled with mineral crystals. Yes, that's how science sees it, but we also have to realize that not all so-called fossils are real fossils. Let's explain the difference. It will be important for us. There are two types of fossils. Fossils that are part of very hard silica rock and are found mainly in mountain ranges. Also notice in this photo that the fish is whole, not decomposed and petrified. This is a real fossil. This is also a real fossil. The entire head of a fish, unfortunately without a body. But all the internal organs are petrified. It could not have petrified for thousands of years because the decomposition of the organism is rapid and inevitable. And here we have so-called fossils that are found in limestone. These animals died under a thick layer of limestone. Their bodies decomposed, liquefied, and the liquid absorbed into the surrounding rock. All of these animals met their death in motion. Everything that moved in and near the water instantly turned to stone. Other fauna was buried under a layer of lime. All of these photos come from a site in Messel, Germany, and notice how the animal's skull was literally crushed under enormous pressure. This octopus was also frozen in motion. Its tentacles did not lie motionless, but curled into a spiral at the moment of death. This picture is my favorite. Unfortunately, I don't know where it came from, but it perfectly captures the sudden petrification. The trilobite froze in motion as it ran away from something. There were probably more of them there. Was he running away from the water? When we talk about water and petrification, there is another phenomenon. The phenomenon of stone balls. The Bible mentions both the lime with which the cherubim painted the earth's plates and gigantic storm hailstones. The weight of these gigantic hailstones, according to the Bible, is 100th. A cent is a unit that expresses the number 100. 100 kilograms? 100 metric cents? We find them all over the world, but where do they come from? Some of them were probably created by ancient civilizations, but the original authentic stone spheres are significantly different. Let's take a look at their structure. The original stone spheres consist of a core and several layers. These spheres were certainly not created by human hands. Some became part of the hard rock. Others were buried under a thick layer of limestone. Some became part of the hard rock. Others were buried under a thick layer of limestone. Some of the stone balls have retained their round shape, but others are deformed. How is this possible? These spheres are evidence of a fall from a great height. Their core was literally knocked out. Yes, these were huge chunks of ice that petrified upon impact with the Earth's surface. Look at their internal structure. It's evidence that these are gigantic storm hailstones, and some of them must have weighed many metric cents and perhaps tons. This place is located in South Africa. Try to think about what happened here. Yes, we are looking at a stone ball, originally an ice hailstone, about to plunge into a wall of water. At the moment of contact, when the water circle began to form, everything turned to stone. The Dragon's Eye Cave in an old stone mine in England also holds secrets. We're probably looking at a gigantic stone ball embedded in rock. This means that this huge piece of ice was originally in water, and everything suddenly turned to stone. Notice again the many layers that are gradually breaking away due to erosion. That's not possible? To understand the full extent of the destruction, we must return to a very familiar, yet misunderstood place. This place is the Eye of the Sahara. The Eye of the Sahara is often mistaken for the lost Atlantis, but Plato's description was of a circular lattice structure, a very small part of the global lattice structure. We could see the unveiling of the circular structure according to Plato's description in Bolivia. The Eye of the Sahara is characterized by its center and concentric circles. What caused them? If we consider that in history there has been liquefaction of stone and conversely petrification of water, we can assume that a huge object sank here. One find suggests this. Nearly 300 miles south of the impact is an area of debris of stone slabs that were ejected with tremendous force. These slabs were carved, and their original shape can still be seen in some of the ruins. The slabs lay on a lattice structure. Remember the discovery of the stone slabs in India? They are still lying on a lattice structure and are in perfect condition. You can still see the water channels and the unusual precision of the cutting. But let's see what destruction befell the plates 300 miles from the Eye of the Sahara. These plates lie over a large area of southern Mauritania and show considerable destruction. In this image, we are probably looking at fragments of a truss structure. Many of these plates show signs of melting. This means that the world was not only hit by a flood and petrification, but also by great heat. Some images look as if the Earth is bleeding. This is due to the mixing of rock through liquefaction and melting. Our Earth has transformed into a new form, and a new landscape has been created, similar to when colors mix together. But the Eye of the Sahara is not the only one. There are dozens of these formations in this desert, but they are not talked about. They are deformed by the pressure of the surrounding rock. Many of these eyes of the Sahara are closed. Some of them are no longer recognizable. Their diameter indicated the size of the object that had sunk there. We will use everything we have remembered today to learn about what we will see in Central Asia. The world was reshaped by water, fire, and petrification. Everything that moved in and near the water suddenly turned to stone along with the water.
The principle of everything is water. Everything is from the water and returns to the water.
All living things that escaped petrification were killed by the tons of lime that the subsequent heat burned into limestone. The entire old world suddenly disappeared. The biblical story of the waters receding after 40 days is actually the petrification of the entire world. The dove could not hold a twig in its beak because everything was burned. The twig is a symbol of new life energy on Earth. It is a symbol of the arrival of a new human civilization. But that's not all. There remains the phenomenon of coal and basalt, but we'll talk about that another time. Now it's time to return to the pipes in Baigong.